Hey BookTube, welcome back to the History Shelf. I am your host Peg. Today's video, I was about to say is brought to you by, but I have no sponsor. Just myself and Gidget, who is on the floor next to me here. So anyway, today's video, we're going to do a couple of book outlet book hauls. I had two small orders, small for me, in the last couple weeks, and just getting around to showing these books to you guys now. But I have a feeling that a few of these are going to be very appealing to many of you. I've gotten to know you guys via comments and on social media, Instagram, and just kind of getting a feel for your tastes, you know, what areas of history really interest you individually. There's a lot of really cool people out there I've gotten to meet. Speaking of which, as some of you on Instagram might know, I got to hang out with a fellow booktuber yesterday in just outside Denver. Well, Broomfield, in between Denver and Boulder. Anyway, but that will be the topic of a separate book haul video, which I'm probably going to make tomorrow. As you can see, I'm ball capping it today because the weather here is smoky. We've got wildfires, and it's just been icky and hot and smoky, and I feel gross, and my hair was not looking on point, so it's a ball cap. It's a ball cap kind of day. But I think tomorrow I'm going to do that video and just talk about it. I have a picture I can share with you guys, and you can find out who the mystery booktuber I was hanging out with, who that was. It was really so much fun. So I'm looking forward to making that video, guys. That video for you guys. But anyway, this video is just, again, book outlet. Found some awesome deals. And was waiting for, you know, the right moment. And sometimes with these books, like I said it before on this channel, if you're looking on book outlet, and a lot of these books pop in and out. The inventory is constantly flowing, changing. And when it says low stock, it means low stock. And you got to keep your eye on the number of how many books are left. And because they'll go like that. There's so many I put in my cart where it's like only 2 left, you know, only 3 left. And then you might wait a day or two to go back and check your cart, and they're gone. So sometimes you got to pull the trigger faster than you normally would. You know, I'm typically not in the habit of like making orders multiple times. I try to save up a nice big cart, and then I'll get a nice big, you know, shopping trip done and get it out of my system. But lately, I've just, with the way Book Outlet is set up, I've got to like move quickly. All right, but having said that, let's move into the first book I picked up, which I was excited for because I've been getting into Scandinavian mysteries. I'm not going to lie. And this book is kind of all about that. Let me get this in here. Scandinavian Noir, In Pursuit of a Mystery by Wendy Lesser. It's a really cool cover. So yeah, this was just like so cheap. I can't even, okay, there we go. Now I can see what I'm doing here. It says here, for nearly 4 decades, Wendy Lesser's primary source of information about 3 Scandinavian countries, Sweden, Norway, and Denmark, was mystery and crime novels and the murders committed and solved in their pages. Having never visited the region, Lesser constructed a fictional Scandinavia, something between a map, a portrait, and a cultural history of a place that both existed and did not exist. Interesting. Lesser's Scandinavia was disproportionately populated with police officers, but was also filled with the stuff of everyday life, relayed in great detail in the novels she read, a fully realized world complete with its own traditions, customs, and, of course, people. Let's see here. Over the course of many, because I'm trying to see where she's going with this. Why can't I move this? Okay, thank you. Over the course of many years, Lesser's fictional Scandinavia grew more and more solidly visible to her, especially as it became augmented by Nordic movies and TV shows. Yet she never had a strong desire to visit the real countries that corresponded to the made-up ones, until she writes, between one day and the next, that no longer seemed sufficient. It was time to travel to Scandinavia. So, Scandinavian Noir illuminates the vast peculiar world of this imagined Scandinavia. First as it appears on the page, then as it grows in her mind, and finally as it exists in reality. So yeah, that sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? Almost like a little part memoir, a little bit of a travelogue maybe. And then it talks about probably some of her favorite Scandinavian crime mysteries and stuff, which I'm getting into. I really enjoy it. So I picked that one up. All right, where do I put these when I'm done? How about right here? Okay, ooh, next one, a nice big fat read for an evening. Always been interested in African history in general. I've read several massive surveys over the years, but I have not read this one. This is Congo, The Epic History of a People by David Van Raybrook. International bestseller, but look, nice, very nice hardcover copy. Just has a remainder mark, but it's in good shape. This is, let's see here. The Democratic Republic of Congo currently ranks among the world's most failed nation states, second only to war-torn Somalia. David Van Raybrook's Congo, The Epic History of a People, traces the history of this devastated nation from the beginnings of the slave trade through the arrival of Sir Henry Morton Stanley, the ivory and rubber booms, colonization, the struggle for independence, and the 3 decades of Mobutu's brutal rule. Van Raybrook also examines the Civil War, the world's deadliest conflict since the Second World War. Still raging today, after 17 years, the Congolese War is driven in part by the demand for the rare earth minerals required to make cell phones. Indeed. Now, when was this written? Is it still going on? No, it's because this was written in 2010. So I should know. Okay. I'm not sure if that Civil War is still going on, but I can guess it's not very quiet there. It's probably not very safe still. Let's see here. What else does he do? Well, let's do this here. It says, Congo does for Africa what Robert Hughes' masterful and novelistic The Fatal Shore did for Australia. So that kind of, says a lot for those of us who know that work. It says a lot about what this book is attempting to do. Van Raybrook takes a deeply humane approach to political history, focusing squarely on the Congolese perspective and returning a nation's history to its people. It was published to rave reviews in Belgium and the Netherlands in 2010. Congo has now been gracefully translated by the exceptional Sam Garrett, most recently the translator of Herman Koch's best-selling The Dinner. So, yeah, it doesn't say on the front that it's translated. So interesting. Was this written in Dutch originally? I don't know. But in either event, in any case, we've got Congo by David Van Raybrook by Echo Books. Oh, yes. And for you philosophy lovers out there, and I know a few of you, I think you might find this interesting. You might want to add it to your cart if it's still available. This one was a little bit more, but it's worth it because anywhere else it's really expensive. But this was put out recently by Farrar, Straus and Giroux. Let me see here. Just a couple years old. Came out in 2019. This is Philosopher of the Heart, The Restless Life of Soren Kierkegaard by Claire Carlyle. There you go. Let's see here. Soren Kierkegaard, widely regarded as the founder of existentialism, is among the most passionate and compelling of all modern philosophers. For more than a decade in the 1840s and 50s, he pursued with great urgency the fundamental question of existence, how to be a human being in the world. Seeking new answers to this oldest of challenges, he explored the spiritual possibilities of Christianity, confronted the failures of institutional religion, and unflinchingly interrogated the nature of faith and his own longing for God. Much of Kierkegaard's creativity sprang from his relationship with Regine Olsen, the young woman whom he promised to marry, then left to devote himself to writing, a relationship that remained decisive for the rest of his life. Though tormented by the glare of publicity, he deliberately lived among the crowds in Copenhagen. Known by everyone, but he felt understood by none. His extraordinary works touch on the deepest, most unsettling questions of existence and continue to shape our understanding of the modern world. Claire Carlyle's innovative, moving biography inhabits Kierkegaard's story, seeking the inward meaning of his life and conveying what it was like actually being this Socrates of Christendom, as he put it. living life forwards, yet only understanding it backwards. Oh, I love that phrase. Living life forwards, yet only understanding it backwards. Well, aren't we all in that position, right? And here's our author. Wonderful. I'm really looking forward to this. It's not too overwhelmingly, large of a book. So I felt like this was a great pickup. I had to get it while it was still there and marked down. Okay, so now we're going to move into, I guess you'd call it post-World War II studies. This just sounded really different. And when you read about like post-World War II Germany or France or, just the rebuilding that was going on there, this is a really different take. Really different. This is a demon-haunted land, witches, wonder doctors, and the ghosts of the past in post-World War II Germany. Isn't that wild? The topic itself just sounded so esoteric. I had to jump on this. And this says, revelatory counterhistory of post-war Germany, not as a reborn democracy, but as a nation convulsed by apocalyptic visions, witchcraft trials, and supernatural obsessions. That's just a little teaser. In the aftermath of World War II, a succession of mass supernatural events swept through war-torn Germany. A messianic faith healer rose to extraordinary fame. Prayer groups performed exorcisms, and enormous crowds traveled to witness apparitions of the Virgin Mary. Most strikingly, scores of people accused their neighbors of witchcraft and found themselves in turn hauled into court on charges of defamation, assault, and even murder. What linked these events in the wake of an annihilationist war and the Holocaust was a widespread preoccupation with evil. While many histories emphasize Germany's rapid transition from genocidal dictatorship to liberal democracy, a demon-haunted land places in full view the toxic mistrust, profound bitterness, and spiritual malaise that unfolded alongside the economic miracle. Drawing on previously unpublished archival materials, acclaimed historian Monica Black argues that the surge of supernatural obsessions stemmed from the unspoken guilt and shame of a nation remarkably silent about what was euphemistically called the most recent past. This shadow history irrevocably changes our view of post-war Germany, revealing the country's fraught emotional life, deep moral disquiet, and the cost of trying to bury a horrific legacy. So, doesn't that sound fantastic? I think a lot of you might really be into this. Now, it says acclaimed historian Monica Black. I haven't heard of her, but looks like she has also written Death in Berlin, From Weimar to Divided Germany, which apparently won the prestigious Frankel Prize, which I've never heard of, among other awards. She lives in Knoxville. There's our author, Monica Black. That's a great photo for an author, huh? She's serious. Demon-haunted land. What? No Zach Baggins on this one. Zach Bagans, or as we like to call him, Bobo Baggins over here. The Ghost Adventures dude. Any of you guys ever watch that show or see his movie on Netflix? What is it, Demon House or something? Where they had warnings like, don't, if you watch this video, it's a cursed video, man. Oh, Zach Bagans. Sorry, I went off on a tangent, but this looks great. I'm looking forward to that. Okay, we're going to keep moving along. Sorry, I thought I heard a beeping out there. I'm still getting used to my new location. The sounds that I get now from the parking lot. It's fantastic. Oh, yes, I'm very... I've been wanting this. Okay, you're going to think I'm crazy for this, but I wanted the physical book. I did have access. They, I think was the publisher sent me a PDF of this, but I really want the physical. So, I mean, I had a free ebook on this, but I went and bought the physical because I wanted it. This is In the Waves, My Quest to Solve the Mystery of a Civil War Submarine by Rachel Lance. That was put out by Dutton. It's a fairly new book, whereas the last one, did I tell you when that book came out? I don't know if it matters to you guys. Oh, that one is very new, actually. The Demon Haunted Land came out last year, 2020. So In the Waves also came out last year, 2020. And I am off any book I can get on about the Hunley, the CSS Hunley. was it the first Confederate submarine? Well, the only Confederate submarine, and probably the first submarine. I think, yes, let's just read the damn thing so I don't get it wrong. Okay. I'm making up stuff as I go here, apparently. On the night of February 17th, 1864, the tiny Confederate submarine, oh, sorry, it wasn't CSS Hunley, it was H.L. Hunley, made its way toward the USS Housatonic, and I love that name, just outside Charleston Harbor. The little sub pressed a massive black powder bomb against the Union ship's hull, and the larger vessel was blown apart in a spray of wood planks. The explosion sank the ship, killing many of its crew. And the submarine, the first ever to be successful in combat, disappeared without a trace. For 131 years, the 8-man crew of the H.L. Hunley lay in their watery graves undiscovered. When finally raised, the narrow metal sub revealed a perplexing sight. There was no indication the blast had breached the hull, and all 8 men were still seated at their stations. Frozen in time after more than a century. Why did it sink? How did the men die? Archaeologists and conservationists have been studying the boat and the remains for years, and now one woman has answers. Let's leave it to a woman. Just leave it to the lady to solve it. In the Waves is much more than just a military perspective or a technical account. It's the story of Rachel Lance's single-minded obsession. Readers will share in the extreme highs and lows in her quest to find all the puzzle pieces of the Hunley. Balancing a gripping historical tale and original research with a personal story of professional and private obstacles, In the Waves is an enthralling look at a unique part of the Civil War and the lengths one scientist will go to uncover its secrets. So that is just fascinating. I mean, I've watched a lot of the National Geographic documentaries on the Hunley, and of course, you can see into the as they were taking apart the sub very slowly. They were sure not to film. You never see film footage of bodies, but I imagine it was just skeletons just sitting there. Encased in mud, of course, because everything was filled with mud. But that's just eerie and creepy. Not having read the book yet and not knowing, but I would guess, even though the hull wasn't damaged, I'm guessing it was asphyxiation, or there was some type of fume or gas fuel, like diesel or whatever. Something maybe just knocked them all out, and they couldn't crank back to shore. So that's my guess. We'll see what Rachel Lance has to say about that. Sounds fantastic. Okay, so now we're going to move over to, oh yeah. So I have been wanting to buy all 3 volumes of the unabridged Gulag Archipelago. Just the paperback versions put out by, Harper Perennial Modern Classics. You know the books, right? And each volume has like a different color, red, white, or black. So, they didn't have volume 1. That's okay, I'll pick it up at Amazon. But they did have volumes 2 and 3 for super cheap. And I had to lock on that while I could get it. And again, it's one of those things that it's not there for real long. In a blink of an eye, that deal is gone. So anyway, I picked up volume 2. Sorry, wrong hand. Wrong 2. I got volume 2. And I always make sure I want the unabridged. I don't like abridged anything. I don't want someone to decide for me what is pertinent to read. I want to read the author's full work. So anyway, we have the foreword by Ann Applebaum. I'm not going to read the description, but obviously it's a classic. And if you don't know about the Gulag Archipelago, let me know. I'll clue you in on that, or you could Google it. But just so I can get through these next few books here, but just daily life in a prison camp. And then we have volume 3. So volume 1, it has the red cover. And right now I've got that in my Amazon cart. About $16. But these, I think, I scored for about 7 or 8. So, remainder marks, big deal. I don't care. But now, once I get the first one, it's going to make a nice looking set on my shelf. And I'm not sure, is anyone out there doing a Gulag Archipelago read along? I know, Christy Lewis and, was doing some Russian. Well, we did the brothers Karamazov earlier in the year. Yes, it was earlier this year. I can't keep track of anything. And then I know in August they're doing what Russian author is it? Well, I know it's The Master and Margarita, right? But is anyone planning on doing a Gulag Archipelago read along? I mean, obviously it's 3 volumes, but even just volume 1, I don't know if that's going to be set up if someone wants to do it in 2022. I have no idea how to conduct a read along. I don't know if I would have the time to set it up. But let me know if anyone's interested out there, and maybe I can volunteer someone else to do it. Why not? No, we could see if there's any interest, and then just kind of see if anyone wants to volunteer to be the leader. I mean, I'd help out, but I don't know how you organize those things. Anywho, we're moving on to the 2 cheapest books. These were hardcovers, brand new hardcovers, beautiful like dust jackets. One of them was, I think, $2. Maybe it was the cheapest book on there, and I was like, "Why is this so cheap?" And I'm gonna get it. It's got Teddy Roosevelt action. We've got The Crowded Hour, Theodore Roosevelt, The Rough Riders, and the Dawn of the American Century by Clay Risen. Or Risen, I don't know. This is put out by Scribner. This is, I think a lot of you have seen this book. It's a very recent book. It came out, it was very prominent in my history book club for a while. This came out in 2019. The Crowded Hour is the dramatic story of the most famous regiment in American history, the Rough Riders, a motley group of soldiers led by Theodore Roosevelt, whose daring exploits marked the beginning of American imperialism in the 20th century. When the U.S. declared war on Spain in 1898, the U.S. Army had just 28,000 men spread around the country, hardly any army at all. Out of desperation and to fill the great need for soldiers, the Rough Riders were born. A unique group of volunteers ranging from Ivy League athletes to Arizona cowboys, they helped secure victory in Cuba in a series of gripping, bloody fights across the island. Theodore Roosevelt called their charge in the Battle of San Juan Heights his, quote, crowded hour, a turning point in his life, one that led directly to the White House. As this book reveals, it was a turning point for America as well, uniting the country and ushering in a new era of global power. Both a portrait of these men, few of whom were traditional soldiers, and of the Spanish-American War itself, The Crowded Hour dives deep into the daily lives and struggles of the regiment, while providing new insight into Teddy Roosevelt's life as he prepared for his ascent to the presidency. In this brilliant, enlightening narrative, Roosevelt and the Rough Riders and a country on the brink of global dominance are brought fully and gloriously to life. Sometimes the L's get me, and I probably need a little sip of water here. That's better. So yeah, and this has been blurbed. John Meacham, Hampton Sides, Doug Brinkley. I mean, and here's our author, Clay Risen. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, look at this. It's just such a beautiful, brand new, nice, somewhat like sticky cover. It's like that matte finish, I just love it. I love the feel of those covers. I am a book junkie. I mean, I know the, you see, I just, yep, junkie. Okay, and then this book was also like, I think the softcover version of this, the paperback version, was more than the hardcover, which made no sense. And I always prefer hardcovers to paperbacks or softcovers anyway. But this is, and I know this is going to appeal. I know a couple of you by name out there who have been getting into Spanish Civil War history. And so maybe you've already read it or have it on your TBR. I would love to hear from you and let me know what you think of this. But I've been meaning to get this for a while, and this hardcover just dropped down to like $3. So I just nabbed it. This is The Age of Disenchantments, the epic story of Spain's most notorious literary family in the long shadow of the Spanish Civil War by Aaron Schulman. $3, Echo Books. This is a fairly recent book as well. It's funny how quickly these massive works of history just, immediately get marked down. I guess it's just the way of things, in the publishing world. But this came out in 2019. Says here, a gripping narrative history of the Spanish family whose lives intertwined with those of Neruda, Dali, Picasso, and Bologna. In this absorbing and atmospheric historical narrative, journalist Aaron Schulman takes us deep into the circumstances and legacy of the Spanish Civil War through the lives, loves, and poetry of the Pineros, Spain's most compelling and eccentric family, whose members intermingled memorably with many of the 20th century's most storied figures in art, literature, and politics. Weaving cultural history and biography and brought together with vivid storytelling and striking images, the Age of Disenchantments sheds new light on the romance and intellectual ferment of the pre-war era in Spain while revealing the enduring devastation of the war and the Franco dictatorship, followed by the country's vibrant transition to democracy. A searing tale of love and hatred, art and ambition, and freedom and oppression, The Age of Disenchantments is a chronicle of a family who modeled their lives and deaths on the works of art that most obsessed and inspired them, and who in turn profoundly affected the culture and society around them. I'm getting a little flicker on my camera. I don't know why. All right, so that is The Age of Disenchantments by Aaron Schulman. $3. I couldn't believe it. And then sometimes at Book Outlet you will find very arcane, like old titles, and sometimes in the older edition. And that's what I love. That's when I find those type of books, I just get so excited. And I found one by an author I happen to, I've been following ever since the 90s. When I read his first work, well, not his first work, but the first book that I read by him was The Coming Anarchy. And he's like a great geopolitical writer. He's traveled the globe. And I mean, I have several of his books, and I don't have this one. And it's Robert D. Kaplan, the inimitable Robert D. Kaplan. I love him. A lot of people know him for Balkan Ghosts, but this is The Arabists, The Romance of an American Elite. It's got a new preface, but as you can see, it's an older book. It's put out by Free Press, right? Yeah. Look at that. New York Times Notable Book of the Year. This edition is from 1987, I think. I looked at it earlier here. Yeah. And then we have a preface to the paperback edition. It doesn't give the date on that. Another preface and acknowledgments. Oh, no, so this edition came out in 1995. Okay, so this is a 1995 edition. Let me try to find you a synopsis, although there's no dust jacket to give you a take on it, but let me read you a couple of the blurbs from book reviews that'll kind of give you an idea. In a book that does much to illuminate American policy toward the Middle East, Mr. Kaplan pushes beyond the stereotype of the anti-Semite gone native to tell a fascinating story about some who were bright-eyed adventurers and who, while often blinded by the sun, were intensely patriotic and sometimes brave. That was from the New York Times Book Review. That doesn't give us much here. Okay, well, there's a description of this book, if it's still available, on bookoutlet.com. Okay, it says here, here's another quote. For many Zionists, an Arabist is simply an anti-Semite by another name. So it is useful that Robert D. Kaplan, who has interviewed many American Arabists, shows that this is an oversimplification. Interesting. New York Newsday said the Arabist is bound to spark controversy, and anybody interested in America's Middle East policies will want to read it. Okay. So anyway, it's by Robert D. Kaplan, and I love his work. And it's one of the books I have not read by him, so I'm intrigued. We've got just a nice big floppy kind of, and we have the paper, no glossy inserts. It's just printed pictures in the inside here. But that's okay. I am ready for it. Robert D. Kaplan. One of his older works, Okay, and then another book I just kind of stumbled across, and, kind of goes in with my interest in Reformation history, church history, things like this. I've never read anything by Eamon Duffy, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Eamon Duffy's A People's Tragedy, Studies in Reformation. And this was put out by, that looks like Simon & Schuster emblem. That's what that looks like. Well, no, I was close. Bloomsbury Continuum. So this came out, it was first published in Great Britain in 2020. This is new. Wow. Okay, I thought it might have been a few years older than that. But it's not too big of a book. I'd say a little over 210 pages or so, not including the bibliography and notes and stuff. It says here, as an authority on the religion of medieval and early modern England, Eamon Duffy is preeminent. In his revisionist masterpiece, The Stripping of the Altars, Duffy opened up new areas of research and entirely fresh perspectives on the origin and progress of the English Reformation. Duffy's focus has always been on the practices and institutions through which ordinary people lived and experienced their religion, but which the Protestant reformers abolished as idolatry and superstition. He's going to bash the Protestants, I bet. The first part of A People's Tragedy examines the two most important of these institutions: the rise and fall of pilgrimage to the cathedral shrines of England, and the destruction of the monasteries under Henry VIII, as exemplified by the dissolution of the ancient Anglo-Saxon monastery of Ely. In the title essay of the volume, Duffy tells the harrowing story of the Elizabethan regime's savage suppression of the last Catholic rebellion against the Reformation, the rising of the Northern Earls in 1569. In the second half of the book, Duffy considers the changing ways in which the Reformation has been thought and written about, the evolution of Catholic portrayals of Martin Luther, from hostile caricature to partial approval, the role of historians of the Reformation in the emergence of English national identity, and the improbable story of the 20th century revival of Anglican and Catholic pilgrimage to the medieval Marian shrine of Walsingham. Finally, he considers the changing ways in which attitudes to the Reformation have been reflected in fiction, culminating with Hilary Mantel's gripping trilogy on the rise and fall of Henry VIII's political and religious fixer, Thomas Cromwell, and her controversial portrayal of Cromwell's Catholic opponent and victim, Sir Thomas More. So, yes, this is actually, I think, a UK edition. Sometimes you find UK editions on Book Outlet too, which is great. Just really beautiful. See, hardcover as well, like not dust jacket, but you know what I mean. It's burgundy with gold print. Anyway, this will be. I'd like to read this either in conjunction with, alongside of, or before or after. I wasn't able to finish the Wolf Hall read-along that was started earlier in the year, but I'm going to get back to it. Wait, because they're right here. Hello. There we go. We got 1, we got 2, and we got 3. So what I might do is, kind of get that bad boy right up there next to him. I'd like to see how he kind of ties that in with her representation. How it's reflected in that fiction that she wrote, yeah. So, again, just sounds right up my alley with, kind of church and religious history. So I picked up Studies in Reformation by Eamon Duffy. I'm not sure if they have any of these left. But, again, for, all you folks out there that are always kind of like looking for a bargain, and obviously, look, I can't have all these books if I paid list price. I mean, that's not how Peg operates. Peg works hard for her money, and it ain't that much. So all my life I've had to look for deals and find ways to get books, and most of them legal. Just kidding. They're all legal. But sometimes when I was a kid, I was a little I had a little hustle going on there where I'd sign up for the book clubs under like not different spellings of my name, but I would just like shorten Peggy to Peg or something, and I'd get the introductory offer. I would get, I feel like everyone's judging me now. Everyone's thinking I'm a horrible person. Yeah, so I have like a couple of accounts, but I would get the introductory offer of like 5 books for $1. You know what I mean? Okay, so I started young in trying to find ways to get books. Legal. I mean, maybe having a couple accounts was not that. Look, I have become a better person with age. I would not do that now, and I don't. What I do is I bargain shop, and you know, I I discovered, and you'll find out in my next video tomorrow, that I finally found a used bookstore that actually has some inventory worth a damn. I mean, I have been looking in the like around my area here outside the Denver area where it's just you go into a used bookstore and it's just garbage. This place has a nice amount of what I need for history, biography, even fiction. I mean, stuff like that. So, very excited about that. So, I have another option for getting books cheaply. So, just know that when I am looking and showing you things, I am not made of money either. And I'm really just trying to help you guys. I mean, I don't make any commission or anything for saying, and no one sponsors me. Hamilton Book, go there to find cheap books. If you've got a limited budget but you want new books, go there. Book Outlet, same thing. That's what I do. And that's it. That's how I have what I have. Now, where I have dropped money, oh yeah, we're talking the Folio Society. Now that's serious. That's a collection, and I do need to start thinking. Well, hopefully not anytime soon, but I have a vast library, and I'd like to know if I die or I kick it suddenly that there are plans in place that they're going to go to a good home, maybe a library, maybe I don't know, someplace where they'll be used. That's all I want. I just want to give these books away, so that, you know, I definitely don't want anything happening to them. I don't want them trashed or anything. How did I go on this tangent? I don't know. But I guess we'll end it there for now. Let me know what you think of these books, guys. I'm making a video that's not 50 minutes, only 37. So I'm making some headway. All right, so coming tomorrow, we're going to have news about my book haul and my visit with a mystery booktuber. But those of you on Instagram already know who I'm talking about. So, all right, guys. Well, until next time, have a great night. Talk to me about these books. Please don't judge me for having grifted earlier in my life for books. Running some scam action. It wasn't a scam. I just, I paid the bills. I got the books, paid the bills, or my mom did because I was a kid. But I was cagey at an early age. Something was a little amiss up there at that age. I was like, how can I get this deal again? All right. Well, anyway, as I said, I've become a better person with age. I hope. And in that spirit, guys, I will talk to you later. Have a good one, BookTube.